welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is good, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and thank you for joining me for another video here on the channel. Today is my favorite day of the week where we break down the 10 hottest comics according to the Key Collector app. If you guys aren't familiar with this one, I take their list, I break them down, I tell you which books I'll be buying, and of course which I'll be staying away from. But before we get started in the video, I want to remind you guys, if you're not currently a sub of the channel, you're missing out. Do yourself a favor, click that sub button, smash that like button for me because it really does help the channel out. Now with that said, I have a sponsor for this video today. Check it out. Come with me if you want a stylish and inexpensive pair of sunglasses. The T-800 Terminator Cyberline Systems Model 101 believes everyone deserves to see and be seen. My mission is to not only protect your eyes, but also to showcase your style. Each pair comes with its own cleaning cloth and protective bag, so you can travel like a boss. A good brand of glasses not only helps you see the world, but also aids you in better understanding and enjoying it. Visit bodala.us today to find your pair. Shield your vision, showcase your style, or I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby. Without further ado, let's get into this week's breakdown. Starting off the list this week with a new book at number 10 is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 6 and the first appearance and origin of the Lizard, and a CGC 6.5 just sold last week for $2,472, up 17% over the average. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sale for $1,175, up 18% over the average. Then we had a lowly CGC 3.0 sell for $899, up 6% over the average. You guys know I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, and anytime I see these Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man keys, especially the villains, I want to pick them up. Long term, I think they're great buys. No matter what, I'm always a buyer. Falling a spot to number 9 this week is another Silver Age key. It is a copy of Iron Man number 1 and the first appearance of Iron Man in his own solo title, and his origin is retold. And a CGC 8.5 just sold last week for a whopping $2,000, up 7% over that average. Then we had a CGC 5.5 sale of $780, up another crazy 20% over the average. You guys know I always want to buy this book every time I see it, especially if I can get it for a deal. That's 2 weeks in a row this book is on this list, finally hitting up a major Iron Man key that I always am buying whenever I go to shows or my LCS or practically anywhere. At the 8th spot this week and back on this list is a copy of All-Star Comics number 58 and the first appearance of Power Girl, a Kryptonian cousin of Earth 2 Superman, and a slabbed 9.2 just sold last week for $400, up an insane 41% over that average. We also had a CGC 8.0 sell for only $198, up 24% over the average. Man, these averages are really going up right now, especially for these DC keys. I am sticking to my guts though. This book is not a big enough key in order to spend $200 on. That's just me, guys. I'm not going to do it. But if you're a big DC fan and a big Power Girl fan, you may want to pick up this book. But right now, I'm staying away. At number 7 this week is a huge modern key. It is a copy of Invincible number 1 and the first appearance of Invincible. And we just had a CGC 9.6 sell for $2,000, up 35% over the average. We also had a CGC 9.4 sale for $1,100, up another 13% over the average. Lastly, we had a CGC 9.2 sale of $970, up 3% over the average. This book went absolutely nuts when the show came out on Amazon Prime. Are we ready for season 2? Not sure what's going on, when that's actually going to come out. I know it is greenlit, but this is a book that has gone so crazy over the past 3 or 4 years, it has become very expensive. But I believe that people out there love this series and love this character. I'm giving it a thumbs up. Just try to get a deal on this book if you can. I know a 9.8 is super expensive, but that's my preferable grade if you can find one. At number 6 this week is a different Swamp Thing book. It is a copy of Saga of Swamp Thing number 37 and the first appearance of John Constantine, Hellblazer, and a whopping CGC 9.8, a near perfect copy of this book just sold last week for $1,800, up 7% over the average. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a huge fan of this character. I know a lot of people out there in the community absolutely love him. We saw this character already with Keanu Reeves in the previous movies, and I guarantee you he will show up again in the future of the new DCU. However, I do think it's going to be quite a while before he shows up, so you have a lot of time to go ahead and wait for this book to drop in order to snag your copy. But for me right now, I'll be definitely staying away. At number 5 this week is another modern key. It is a copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 and the first appearance of Miles Morales, a Spider-Man from an alternate reality, and a CGC 9.8 just sold last week for a crazy $1,920, up 4% over the average. Right now, I cannot tell you why this person spent $1,900 on a copy of this book when I see a ton of these books at a 9.8 on IG live sales all over Instagram for $1,500. I don't know why someone paid $1,900 for a copy of this one. If I'm going to own this book, it's going to be at a 9.8 with a special Miles Morales label for around $1,500 or less. You're paying more than that, you're overpaying right now. Coming in at number 4 this week, and a new book to this list, it is a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 101 and the first appearance of the Phoenix and the debut of her new powers, and a CGC 9.6 just sold the prior week for $2,000, up 19% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.0 sale for only $960, up another 4% over the average. Then we had a CGC 7.0 sale of $420, up 2% over the average. Ditto what I said for the Saga of the Swamp Thing. They're going to use the Dark Phoenix at some point in the MCU. However, it's going to be a really long time for this character to show up, in my opinion. Regardless, I think it's a book that has to be owned. So if you don't own your copy already, I'm suggesting getting a nice high-grade copy. It doesn't have to be a 9.0 or higher. For me, I'd want an 8.0 or higher on this book because it is a beloved character by all X-Men fans. Coming in at the 3 spot this week, and I can't believe this book is still on this list, it is a copy of Wolverine number 1 and the first appearance of Wolverine in his own solo title. This is also an iconic cover by the great Frank Miller. We just had a CGC 9.6 sell last week for $318, up 18% over the average. We also had a CGC 9.0 sale for only $190, up 27% over the average. I have to ask, why is this book still hot? I don't know. There's a ton of copies out there in the community. Seems everyone already owns one, but there are still people going out and spending high dollar amounts on this book. Yes, definitely, I'd want to own this book if I can get it for the right price. Maybe about 4 years ago, you could probably snag this book for under $100. Now, for a high grade, about $200. I just don't want to spend. $200 is a lot of money, folks, and unless you're a super duper Wolverine fan or a crazy Frank Miller fan, I'm staying away from this book. If you can get one for cheap, add it to the collection. If not, I'd be staying away. Back at the 2 spot this week is a copy of New Mutants 98 and the first appearance of Deadpool, the Merc with the Mouth, and a CGC 9.8, a near perfect copy of this one, just sold last week for $1,625, up 7% over the average. Don't forget, last week we had about a $1,900 sale, now back to $1,600. I always tell you guys, $1,500 is where I'm drawing the line in the sand. And get it for under that, I'd be a buyer at a 9.8 only because there are so many copies out there in the community. Other than that, I'd be staying away. And at the top spot this week for the second week in a row, it is a copy of Uncanny X-Men number 130 and the first appearance of the Dazzler, and a CGC 9.6 just sold last week for $580, up a crazy 46% over the average. Then we had a CGC 9.4 sale for $320, up 25% over that average. Then we had a CGC 9.2 sale for $300, up again another 46% over the average. This book is super duper hot right now. I can see why it's at the top spot, but don't buy the hype. Yes, the Dazzler will show up sometime down the road in the MCU, but there's no reason to pay these high prices right now. Wait for this book to come back down. If you want to own the book, I'm suggesting about $100 to $150 for a high grade copy. Other than that, it's just way too much money for this character. Hope you guys enjoyed the list. Some new books, some of the same stuff. We got to get Wolverine 1 off this list. It makes no sense. It's been on the list for the better part of 6 months. It's time for it to go. Regardless, it is now time for my best buy of the week, and I'm saying it's got to be Amazing Spider-Man number 6 and the first appearance of the Lizard. Any Silver Age Spider-Man key will always hold its value, and if there's one on this list and not too many other great books that are on it, I'd be going with that one, and that's what we're doing here today. Hope you guys enjoyed the list. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.